Did you know that 80% of American teenagers feel a sudden urge to run when parents mention their bodies? This reaction is not just typical teenage rebellion, but is actually rooted in complex biological and psychological developmental shifts. If you are currently struggling to get your teenager to say more than one word during dinner in Chicago, this video will completely change how you view your relationship and help you finally break that heavy wall of silence. Most parents in the United States think they are being helpful when they ask about their child's social life. They have been taught by previous generations that constant questioning is the only way to stay involved and safe. They believe that if they do not push for answers, their children will drift away into a dangerous world. So they keep asking the same intrusive questions every single day, hoping for a breakthrough that never actually comes. The problem is that when you push too hard, the teenage brain perceives your interest as a direct threat. A psychological mechanism called individuation occurs, where they feel the need to separate their identity from yours very quickly. Their amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, becomes hypersensitive to any perceived judgment or control from authority figures. Over time, these small daily interrogations create a mountain of resentment that eventually leads to a complete emotional shutdown. However, successful families in New York and Los Angeles who maintain deep connections do things very differently every day. They do not interrogate. They observe and wait for the right moment to offer support without any hidden agendas. These parents understand a secret that most people miss, which is that less talking often leads to more sharing. This is a truth that very few people truly understand about the modern landscape of parenting in our country. A major study conducted by Harvard University in 2022 followed over 5,000 diverse American families for years. The researchers found that parents who asked fewer direct questions had children who shared 30% more personal information. The group that was constantly questioned showed higher levels of cortisol, which is the primary hormone associated with stress. The group that experienced low-pressure environments reported feeling much safer and more willing to discuss their private lives. The most shocking discovery was that silence from a parent was actually interpreted by teens as a sign of trust. Inside the teenage brain, there are 3 specific parts that manage how they react to your voice and your questions. The prefrontal cortex handles logic, but it is under construction and does not work well during high-stress emotional moments. The ventral striatum is looking for rewards and social approval, while the amygdala is scanning for any potential threats. This causes a physical reaction where the teen literally feels like they are being hunted by a large predator. When you ask a cringe question, you trigger the amygdala, which then produces a flood of negative adrenaline immediately. But when you use humor or clear boundaries, you activate the ventral striatum and create a positive feedback loop. This leads to the production of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which makes them feel safe and connected to you. Dr. Lisa D'Amour, a leading expert, explains that teenagers are like turtles who only come out when it is safe. Let us look at a real-world case study from a family living in a busy suburb of North Chicago. Mark was a father who constantly asked his 15-year-old daughter about her grades and her new group of friends. His daughter, Sarah, would simply grunt and lock herself in her bedroom for the rest of the entire evening. Mark decided to stop asking questions and instead started sharing funny stories about his own mistakes at his work. Within 3 weeks, Sarah started coming into the kitchen to talk to him without being asked a single direct question. Another case study involves a tech-heavy household in Silicon Valley, where the parents were constantly snooping on social media. The son became a master of hiding his digital tracks, which created a massive rift of distrust and fear. Once the parents shifted to a transparency and trust model, the son actually showed them his favorite online games. This pattern is very clear. The more you chase a teenager, the faster they will run away from you. To fix this, we use a framework called the S.A.F.E method, which stands for space, authenticity, feedback, and empathy. This method was originally developed for hostage negotiators, but has been adapted for parents to use at home today. It works because it lowers the emotional temperature of the room and allows for a logical conversation to happen. The first conversation that makes teens shut down is the body and puberty talk that feels incredibly awkward. Your goal is to provide information without making them feel like a science project under a very bright microscope. Instead of a formal sit-down talk, try mentioning something casually while you are driving in the car together. In the old way, you might say, "We need to discuss the changes your body is going through right now." This makes the teen feel exposed and embarrassed, leading to a quick exit or a very long silence. In the new way, you could say, "I remember feeling so awkward when I was your age. It was tough." This allows them to feel validated without feeling like they are the center of a very weird medical lecture. A common mistake is using clinical terms that feel cold or making jokes that actually feel like personal insults. You will know you are doing it right when they do not immediately leave the room when you speak. The second conversation is the friendship interrogation, where you ask too many details about who they are hanging with. Teens view their friends as their new family, so any criticism feels like a direct attack on their soul. Instead of asking, "Is that boy a bad influence?" try asking, "What do you like most about that group?" This shows you value their judgment, which is the highest form of respect you can give to a teenager. The third conversation is the social media audit, which usually sounds like a lecture about the good old days. When you say, "Why are you always on TikTok?" they hear, "I do not respect your interests or world." Try asking them to show you a funny video or explain a trend that you do not quite understand. This bridges the gap between your generations and makes them feel like the expert for once in their lives. The fourth conversation is the future anxiety talk about college and careers that starts way too early nowadays. Most teens are just trying to survive the next week of high school and cannot fathom 10 years ahead. Focus on their current passions rather than their long-term marketability to keep the conversation flowing and very relaxed. The fifth conversation is the comparison trap, where you talk about how much harder you had it before. Saying, "I walked to school in the snow," only makes them feel like their current modern struggles are invalid. Acknowledge that being a teen in the age of Instagram is actually much harder than it was for us. The sixth conversation is the cringe slang attempt, where you try to use words like skibbity or riz. Please, just do not do it. It destroys your authority and makes you look incredibly desperate for approval. Just be the adult. They need a stable rock, not a middle-aged person trying to act like a teenager. Finally, the seventh conversation is the Trojan horse, where you lure them with food to give a lecture. If you say, "Let's go for ice cream," but then talk about their math grade, they will never trust you. Keep your fun times fun and your serious talks separate, so they can actually enjoy your company sometimes. Once you master these basics, you can add the validation technique, which is what the highest level parents use. This is the thing that the top 5% of communicators do that everyone else completely ignores daily. You simply repeat back what they said in your own words before you offer any advice or any opinion. This activates a special mechanism in the brain called neural coupling, where two people's brain waves actually synchronize. Most people skip this and go straight to solving the problem, which only achieves a very low success rate. People who use validation achieve results that are 10 times better than those who simply give logical advice. Let us look at a timeline for implementing these changes in your own home starting this coming Monday. In weeks 1 and 2, your goal is simply to stop the bleeding and reduce the daily interrogations. The challenge will be your own anxiety, because you will feel like you are losing control of the situation. This is hard because your brain is wired to protect them, but you must resist the urge to pry. Every morning, just say, "Good morning," and nothing else. And every evening, just offer a warm, kind smile. By day 7, you will notice they stay in the common areas of the house for slightly longer periods. By day 14, they might actually ask you a question about your day, which is a massive psychological win. Red flag. If they become completely isolated, you may need to check in, but do it with extreme gentleness. In weeks 3 and 4, you enter the observation stage, where you look for their bids for connection. A bid might be a grunt, a look, or showing you a meme on their phone very quickly. When they do this, drop everything you are doing and give them your full attention for 60 seconds. In months 2 to 3, you will start to see a permanent shift in the structure of your relationship. They will begin to view you as a safe harbor rather than a judge or a constant, annoying critic. After 6 months, the biological structure of your communication will have been completely rewired for a much deeper trust. You will have a child who comes to you when things are actually wrong because they trust you. This is the difference between a house full of secrets and a home full of real, lasting connection. Now let us troubleshoot some of the most difficult situations you might face during this long transition period. Problem 1 is the one-word answer, where they only say fine or okay to everything you say. The symptoms are frustrating, but the cause is not boredom. It is actually a defensive shield they use. They are testing to see if you will get angry or if you will stay calm and very patient. The solution is to accept the one-word answer and say, I am just glad to be near you. This removes the pressure and makes them feel like they do not have to perform for your love. Problem 2 is the eye roll, which feels like a slap in the face to most loving parents. This is actually a sign that their brain is processing your input, but they are trying to maintain independence. Ignore the eye roll and focus on the message. This shows you are the more emotionally mature person. If you have mastered everything we have discussed so far, then you are ready for the advanced layer. Only 10% of parents reach this level, but it is where the most profound healing truly happens. The vulnerability secret is when you admit your own fears and failures to your child without any shame. When you show them your own humanity, it gives them permission to be imperfect and human as well. This creates a level 4 master connection, where you are no longer just a parent, but a mentor. Most people get stuck at level 2 because they are too afraid to let go of their authority. To move up, you must realize that true influence comes from connection, not from having absolute total control. In summary, the old belief that you must constantly talk to stay connected is completely and utterly wrong. The truth is that silence, respect, and low-pressure environments are the keys to a teenager's heart and mind. Use the S.A.F.E method. Stop the cringe talks and watch as your child slowly begins to return. Start today by simply listening more than you speak during your next interaction with them at your home. Right after this video, go to them and just offer a snack without asking any questions at all. Tomorrow, try to find one thing they are doing right and mention it briefly, then walk away immediately. If you do this for 7 days, you will see the first signs of your brain and theirs rewiring. Comment below with the word connection if you are ready to stop the interrogation and start the real relationship. I will personally answer as many questions as I can to help you on this very difficult journey. Our next video will be about how to handle teen anger without losing your own cool very soon. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode to help you grow more.